One of the key approaches of the anti-Semites throughout the ages is to project evil onto the Jewish people, complete lies, to depict the Jews as parasites, as wicked people. That was the propaganda of the Nazis, of Goebbels, but it didn't begin with them. It's throughout the ages. In every age, in every era, they totally distort the nature of the Jews. And in my opinion, a lot has to do with projection. It's the guilt, it's the evil, the wickedness within themselves that they can't deal with directly, so they simply try to project it onto the Jew. You see a similar phenomenon now in the war that's being fought against Hamas, and international bodies that pretend to be moral, pretend to operate according to some system of right and wrong. However, they have been accusing Israel of genocide and so on and so forth. Total distortion, total lies. And just recently, the International Criminal Court, whatever that means, and the president of the court, the chief prosecutor, Karim Khan, is seeking arrest warrants against a number of people. Hamas leaders, which actually deserve, of course, they deserve it. They have committed the worst types of atrocities, and against Prime Minister Netanyahu and Defense Minister Gallant. So they have to get Israel in there as well. That is, to create the impression that Israel is also guilty of crimes against humanity, which is an absolute absurdity. What is Israel supposed to do? They were viciously attacked on October 7th in the most inhumane way imaginable. And now you have this enemy, Hamas. Of course Israel has to respond. Of course Israel has to destroy Hamas. And however, in order to do so, there's going to be inevitable casualties, just like there's inevitable Israeli casualties because of friendly fire. That is, by accident, killed by the fire of other Israelis in the IDF. That's inevitable in a war. Civilian casualties are inevitable in a war. In this case, it's brought about by the fact that Hamas hides behind the civilians, whether it be in hospitals and schools and so on and so forth. So in order for Israel to get at the terrorists, they have no choice. And there's going to be, but they warn people in advance, and they do everything possible to get the civilians out of there. It's not their intention to harm civilians. Not only that, but many people have said it's the most humane army in history. Other nations don't do that. Other nations didn't deliver food and supplies to their enemy population, or to warn them in advance what target is being hit, to get out of there in advance, and so on and so forth. There's no question. Well, take a look at World War II. The leading nations, the United States and Britain, they were responsible for the death of hundreds of thousands. Estimates range up to 500,000 civilians, enemy civilians, not by accident, but targeted. Firebombing cities like Dresden, atomic weapons, nuclear explosions over Hiroshima and Nagasaki, Japan, killing hundreds of thousands of people in the worst possible way. But nobody has ever mentioned that they're guilty of war crimes or crimes against humanity. Israel doesn't do anything that's remotely comparable to that. Israel does everything possible to save, to rescue the civilian populations, even though most of them support Hamas. But nevertheless, Israel is a humane society. It's a democratic society. It has made more contributions to medicine and technology and so forth than any nation of any comparable size, dimension. And that's what they seek to do. However, they have no choice. They're beset by enemies. Thank God in this generation, Jews are able to fight back because they have their own state, they have their own army and air force. But the idea of depicting Israel as performing crimes against humanity is horrendous. All decent people should not be taken in by this. Of course, you might think, oh, look, this is an international court and so on and so forth. You might think that it has credibility. The answer is it has absolutely no credibility. These are people themselves who are corrupted. And check the funding, where their funds are coming from, and so on and so forth. The entire objective of this is to cast aspersions upon Israel and to get the world to look at Israel in a very, very negative way, and only to increase the anti-Semitism in the world. We can't accept this. We have to oppose this. We can't be misled by these phony actors.